Okay, alternator wire is hooked up, and so is the bypass wire. So bypass wire. Now obviously this runs into the harness, into the fuse block, and this jumper wire, this bypass wire, runs to the hot side. So it calls for alternator red battery post, which is that, to where the battery connects. Battery cable. This is the hot wire. Connects to the starter solenoid, so that means hot. So I followed the directions. That's what it says. It's a 260 amp. That's a freaking giant ass stereo alternator, whatever, but don't need it. But anyways, I am done. I am done with the engine harness wiring, essentially minus this crap going to the fans. So everything else is done. That stuff's all done. I got a big nice Thunderbolt. Got a nice Thunderbolt coil wire. It's pretty long though. I wasn't sure, but I got a longer one. So it's got it from these guys, Taylor Cable. And that's not it. This is the one that comes with all the different end repairs. So this is an end repair kit for a 2-footer, but don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish working on some of these things. I'm going to get a clamp here, little stuff, but essentially it's done, and it should be pretty darn nice and clean when the end is. And you put the valve covers on there, you're not going to see a lot of the wiring. You're always going to see a little bit, but nothing major. A lot of that will be hidden with the the brake master, or the brake reservoir canister. So should look pretty good. All in all, that yellow wire is going away, but I need to get another ground from. I need to get another ground from the block down to the frame and to the body. So I mean, I've got it to that over there. I got it to the body here, but I don't have it to. We'll definitely get to the frame. So I might. You can come off the battery directly if you want to too. So like I could put another ground underneath here. So I have room to put another ground here, and then run it down to the frame. So I should have planned for that earlier, but I didn't. But I really got to get out and get myself some radiator hoses. So those will be fun. Clean the dust off this thing. Hopefully get it fired up this weekend. Okay, so wrapping up here, right? So I got 3 wires still running off of here. One is the oil sender, which I'll wrap up in the harness. The alternator exciter wire I'll wrap up in the harness, and then this is the alternator wire. So these 3 I don't care about, right? They just go this way. But what I have here is, this goes to the starter, ignition power. This is ignition power also. This goes to that oil pressure safety switch to fire up. This applies power to the fuel pump when you are cranking the key on ignition start. This is the ignition wire here, and then this is neutral safety switch here, and then obviously I got the full-time power going to the fuse block. This is, you pull the lights on, it works full time, and this goes to hot on the power, positive on the power. So there you go. That's my circuit. Oh, I still got to get this one on. This has to go to ignition power, which is what I'm going to get on the coil here, on the positive side. So that, I don't know what they call it. I don't know, but this is ignition power, running power, and then this is the ground off the. These both go to. Well, this is the positive coil wire here, and this pink one, and these 2 go to the distributor. I like HEI distributor. Said this will go to the positive side to get ignition running power. This wire, this yellow wire, is actually controlled by. I think I burnt the shit in my finger. This ignition wire, this oil pressure sender wire only works when there's oil pressure. So I'm essentially done, minus the fans. So I finished wiring up the alternator. Just got a few wires attached, hide the rest of it. I'll get it in a loom or tape it up. I'll tape that up. But essentially the wiring harness is nice and clean and done. And I still got this guy. And I still have this guy to go for all the relays on the fans. All right, let me give you where I'm at on my ignition, my oil pressure safety switch. So this is where I've kind of gotten. So let's start with the ignition switch, right? You got accessory, you got off, you got run, you got start. So typically you're going to run, this is a solenoid which flips a physical switch to start the starter, which allows power to come through. So you're going to put the car, okay, let's just say we're going to start the car. So we put it to run, and then this is not going to work because it doesn't have pressure. So this only works if there's pressure, so the pump's not working. So the first time you're starting the car, you turn the car to start, right? So that energizes that wire coming down here, come to here, and fuel pump, ground to ground. So now you got ground to ground, right? Got a circuit. So that makes the pump work. Now some people put a fuse or relay here between this wire, whatever you can. Depends on how big your fuel pump is. These are these tiny little, I'm using a tiny little one, pulls like no amperage at all. It's a 4 to 6 pound Holley Mighty Mite. So anyways, that's the ignition circuit. That's the ignition start circuit. So, and that goes to here. This clips as a switch on the solenoid. Solenoid makes this circuit work. So ground to ground, right? Boom. Okay. So this is hot, and then this is hot on starting. On when you're cranking the key to the spring, or you can push button. Push button's not going to be on the push button. You're not going to be here. You're going to have it over here. Whatever. It's going to come here. Don't worry about it. So now you let off the key. The car is now running, right? Oil pressure has built up, and this is now activated. So now it goes through here, goes down through the run, down here, and ground to ground. So now you got a circuit here. This is the running circuit. Okay, so there you go. Your car's running, good enough. This is the main. This is where I'm kind of at right now. Okay, but if you see these S and this I stuff, you're going to know this is a Ford style, right? This isn't a 1957 Dodge style, or 1957 Plymouth and Dodge style. Now, I assume that, I don't know what types the DeSotos use, I'll look it up, but when you look on the schematic, you'll actually see this kind of deal here, right? But you really can't still tell. Like this is a barrel style here. Now this is a Dodge 1957 V8. So it did use the barrel style. I've seen it on when I ripped the wiring out of the car. It had a barrel style. So, but it has that stranger style where that's the ignition switch, and then that's and it even has that vacuum hose, and the vacuum hoses are going to be there so that you can't start the car while vacuum's on it. So for a torque flight, I don't know if the power flight's exactly the same, but anyways, so this is the 57, probably 58. I think that was a 58. We just looked. I'll show you the 58. When I've shown you the 58 barrel style, not a Ford style. You got to be careful. You can't just go to Rock Auto and buy that like I did, because you got buying the wrong freaking thing. So thank you, Rock Auto, for not putting the right parts and shit. Close enough. Looks like it. Go for it. It's not. Completely different beast. Anyways, so that's one thing to be careful for. Like I said, not to mention, you're going to see the Chryslers that actually have the solenoid on the starter. And that is a completely different beast too, because then it's just going to have a little relay here. A little square relay, and I'll show you the diagram for it. Okay, so let's look at a 58 Plymouth starter solenoid. Remote starter solenoid. So now this is a completely different beast than the Fords, right? This probably goes to the horn or something. Or this goes to the horn. This is your hot wire coming through the battery here, your hot positive. This is your positive wire. Now so this wire has to go out through here to the starter. And this goes somewhere. This is more than likely, yes. This is, I can see right now, this red wire here has been replaced, but this is actually your neutral safety switch here. And then this is your ignition switch. It's been replaced, I think, too. No, it's an original. The Chrysler one, right? So the Chrysler is actually showing this kind of connection on the starter. Where you look at the Dodge, and if you look at the starter on the Dodge, you're going to see just a single wire coming to the starter. Let me see if I see it on this one. No, this is the lighting circuit. But you see this guy right here? That means you got a solenoid. You got the solenoid on the starter and solenoid. So if you come here, you look at this relay. This is a starter relay, and it's got these 3 wires. that I showed you. So one goes to the push button start. Now, even though, and then it's got the vacuum switch on it also. Now, even though the Chrysler has a push button start, the Dodge can still have a push button start with the barrel style relay. So, but then it's got the big wire that kind of runs through here, and it runs through the ignition switch, and then the big power wire comes to the ignition switch, comes off the ignition switch, and then it goes to the starter right here. This third wire, which is what I was thinking right. This third one is the big fat wire, goes to the starter, and this relay jumper is back. So this wire goes to the solenoid, and this guy's the power on the starter. So there you go. Now this wire goes to the horn relay. So there you go. This guy goes to, like I said, and this guy goes to the neutral safety switch through the vacuum switch. Now this is a starter relay for a 1957 Chrysler 300, right? So it's very different. Now, if you look at the module, this is essentially a real relay. This isn't that cylindrical Ford style relay starter. And obviously someone's been using these for junction points and stuff. It's kind of boogered here, but you're going to see this wire, this big center wire. Now if you look on the diagram, you can see this, right? This here is actually, I think this is going to be your starter wire, I believe. So there's these three wires here, and they show them. Now this should be your neutral safety switch, I think, right here. One of them. This is a yellow, and just a yellow wire. Now this is a 1960 Imperial with the same kind of starter relay here. As you can see, this is the starter wire. Maybe the starter's been ripped out of it or not, or this is the starter wire here. Yes. So you can see that this is the same kind of setup as on the 57 Chrysler. Here's my other option, is to use one of these newer style, this nice waterproof. This is a 5-wire, but I have 4 wires. I'll probably use a 4-wire waterproof. I don't need that 5th wire anyways. This isn't pulling the current. This is just turning the solenoid on. So I'd have this giant wire here would go to the battery wire. I think if I have enough wire to make the, or I could put these back together, which would be a stupid thing. I did cut this to put this there, so I do have another 5 feet of wire. That'd probably be okay. So I could use this guy because honestly, this guy needs to go. I really kind of like this now I got this here, so I might actually see if I can find one real quick. Okay, so routing headlights and horns up front and out back are pretty simple, right? You got a loom here. Now these are all the headlights and the taillights. I haven't secured them yet because these are actually break-off points. So obviously the turn signals go here and here. You know, headlights are going to go here and here. Left, there's obviously, this is the left and this is the right turn signal. Everything else is going to go double. It'll double break out. But I did buy one of these with a 6-point. You can buy these on Amazon for like $10 from China, whatever. So I might extend this here to a 6 spot because if I want to run daytime running lights. Now I don't have the wire there, so I could use one of these guys, one of these spare ones if I want to do that, or touch into something, or I could split off of something. I don't know about that, but I'll have to think about. I could do the running lights, but those are on a switch, so I'll have to figure that out. But if I don't know if I'll do it. I literally just need power though, so let's start the car. Daytime running lights are running, so I can put another connector here somewhere into up into the ignition running somewhere here, run a wire there and run it to here. It's not in the harness, kind of pisses me off. I can open the harness back up. So I've split that yellow wire out of the harness. So now the rear harness is what I'm running right now. This is broken out. These are the broken out ones. So this is going to the fuel gauge. I'm running that right now. I got the fuel pump. Fuel pump's an electric pump, and it's going to go over there. Another one is overhead light. and the trunk light. So I don't know if I'm going to run the trunk light. I've had to fish this guy down the hole. I think I just pulled it out. So I'm going to fish this guy down the hole here, and so I'm going to fish this down the hole here and pull it out. Can't get the trunk out. The trunk's out. The trunk's in the way. So I will need to finish. I will need to fish this whole thing through the firewall where through the quarter panel where the original one goes. There's a big piece of metal here, armrest, so this sticks out. So I'll get that done. Like I said, and I actually bought a junction for the rear. So if I don't use the 6-pointer in the back, I'll use the I don't use the 6 tap one in the front. I'll use it in the back, vice versa, and run the tail lights off of this because, like I said, there's brake lights are. It just says, you'll get things like brake lights and it's one wire. It has to be split off. Now some of these actually, one of these actually splits off. Okay, this isn't my most proudest moment, but what I have is, because I have an electric fuel pump in this, I have a, this is like dum-dum underneath there. It's completely protected. I'll put some more up here. This is just paint in the way. It's not going to cut any metal. So what this is this is a quick connect wire connector. And these are actually really good. They lock down. I'll show you here in a minute. But it's not my pretty. It's just, this is actually going to be temporary. I'll figure out a more permanent solution. But basically, this, because I have one of these like little Holley fuel pumps, and I want to be able to replace it on the road if I need to. So I can undo this and just hook it up. So we'll see what kind of connection we get here. Okay, Fastronics makes these things. This was super cheap. It's a 6-point. They make like a 7 maybe or something, a 5. I mean, what guys do is they buy these Fastronics and they take them out of the package and they keep the ends, and then they charge like double or triple what they actually paid for it. And they act like, oh look, it's a forward look part. It's not. It's made by Fastronics. You can buy all these different stud junction blocks. Comes with all these nice ends too. Anyways, so back to relays. I've pulled this out of here. I pulled this crappy Ford one out of here. That's junk. It doesn't work for these cars. Remember, battery doesn't matter. This is just a straight line. It can go on, the battery or the starter can go either end. Direction doesn't matter. Same with this thing. So this is an actual relay. So I'm leaning more and more towards this, and then splitting and putting a full wire that goes to the starter, because this actually is not going to work. So this is actually a 200 amp relay though. Okay, more bullshit. So had to order these guys. I don't even like how close these things are going to be. I may end up grinding an 1/8 inch off this guy so it doesn't jump or something. I really don't like this, but this is this 200 amp. Come on, man, my phone is like jacking shit. 200 amp relay here. So I need to get this battery to be able to connect to that. And I guess you're putting 200 amps through it, so it's got to be through this post. So I will cut this down a bit. I got some other wires I need to go here. I'm going to use this guy instead of this guy. Now obviously that post is bigger than this. It fit well on that one, but it is what it is. If I want to use this relay, I got to get something down. I didn't see any others that are really this high amp. But Rhapsody, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, this stuff only kind of shows up at night. It is worthless in the daytime. You don't even see it. It looks like it's not halo. So it's like 4 little Christmas lights, 8 little Christmas lights in this thing. Anyways, it's whatever this Omega. Anyways, that's it.